What's up, everybody? This is Big Herc with the Fresh Out Car Hustle, and I'm here with my good friend Joe, who has a very unique American muscle car a lot of people aren't familiar with, the Typhoon. And I'm gonna let him explain about it because he knows more about it than I do. But he's a real car buff like me, and I'm gonna let him take it away from here.
This is a 1993 GMC Typhoon, 2-year only, made in 1992 and 93. In 1992, they made 2,497 of them. In 93, only 2,200. These are all numbered. If you come over here, I actually made a custom set of door sills. This one's number 1423. Believe it or not, this is actually my daily driver. A lot of people think you can't daily drive a 23-year-old truck, but here's an example of it. It's pretty problem-free. Just keep up on the maintenance. And the thing about these trucks is you really don't want to dork around with them because they're really temperamental and sensitive. Most of these trucks have either been wrapped around a pole or burnt up on a drag race somewhere. So when I bought this thing, it was because it was a lifelong dream to own one. When they first came out in 92, you know, it was almost a $30,000 truck, and back in the day, that was a lot of money. I'm like, one day when I can afford it, I'm going to find a really mint one. And this came out of a collector's garage. The guy had Porsches, Ferraris, he had Benzes, and this was actually his favorite car. This was the last car he sold out of his collection. I got a call out of the blue. The guy says, "Hey, do you want the Typhoon?" I'm like, "Where are you at?" And I came over with a checkbook and I bought it. So I kept it pretty much stock. I just changed a few things cosmetically. Upgraded all the stuff that needed to be upgraded, beefed up the suspension. But as far as the engine, it's still the stock turbo. Now, when I bought it, it had a mild cam already in it, cold air intake, and it has actually an aftermarket chip. But nothing really crazy. I think, you know, Marcus and I will do another video. I actually have the brother of this, which is the pickup version called the Cyclone. Now that one's not mild, and we'll talk about that one later. But this one, for the most part, it's stock. I just changed stuff that was worn out, you know, sourced the parts out just to make the car look more current. And
What kind of horsepower is this thing putting out, Joe?
well, stock was 280, and then the torque was about 360.
Okay.
So this one is pushing a little bit more. The only other thing I really upgraded to is because it was my daily, I wanted better lighting, so I went with HIDs in the front, and then LEDs as far as the fog lamps, and then the markers.
Okay. Can we pop the hood to see what's in there?
Absolutely. Oh, and for the most part, the paint is still original.
Oh, wow.
The only thing that I know for sure was repainted was the bumper.
Okay. He did a good job keeping this car in pristine condition. You don't see a lot of cars that are 23 years old.
No, no, it was, and the thing is, it wasn't always my daily driver, but you know what? I love him. I love this truck so much, I decided, heck, I need to drive it every day. So, you know, the AC works. You can see the condensation on it, but it's, you know, it's got the cold air intake, but for the most part...
This is a turbo car, right?
Yeah, this is a lot of... Let me give you a little history and misconceptions about the Typhoon. You know, I get anything from, oh, that's the SUV with the Corvette engine, or it's the SUV with the Grand National engine. It doesn't have a Corvette engine, it doesn't have a Grand National. It's a 4.3 with the turbo. It's a Mitsubishi TD06 turbo. Running a little bit over 14 pounds of boost. The transmission's out of a Corvette 700 R4. It's got a 48 millimeter throttle body. You know, but most of the stuff, you know, this car was assembled in the GM plants and then sent to a company in Troy, Michigan called PAS, where they would put the cladding on and then, you know, the turbo and then upgrade the engine. So, you know, a lot of times I get people always pull up and say, "Oh, you know, what is that thing? Or is it a Jimmy with a body kit?" And that's actually the worst thing you can tell a Typhoon owner. It's a Jimmy with a body kit. But the three things that really make this truck unique, aside from the fact it was limited production, is the V6 turbo, the all-wheel drive, and then the cladding. Those are really the three distinct things about this truck. So a lot of guys, once they burn up the engine, they'll pop an LS engine in here because of the reliability and power. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to keep the heritage of the truck alive. To each his own. Everyone's got the different taste. Just for me, I wanted to keep the heritage of the 4.3 V6 in there, because to me, if I just slapped in a the LS engine,
like everybody else,
it's it just becomes another Jimmy.
And this is comfortable. This is like a 4-seater, then, right?
Yeah, it's different in that you can see it's 2 doors.
Yeah.
But it actually seats 4 people. Yeah, and it's got room for groceries in the back, leather seats.
You got a high-performance grocery getter. If you want to go get some groceries, and you can still smoke out the local BMW guy.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, the secret to really launching these things is, you can boost launch it, and anyone that's ever done that on an automatic turbo car knows you just pop it in neutral and go from there, and then you can really get up and go with the all-wheel drive. But no, it's I have another vehicle for that. The Cyclone's more of the race truck. This one really is my daily driver.
That's your cruiser.
Yeah, and honestly, I have several cars. Out of all the vehicles I own, the Cyclone and the Typhoon get the most attention. There isn't one week that doesn't go by where someone doesn't pull up to me and makes an offer for it. So the reality is everything has a price, but I just really love this truck, and I haven't taken up anyone on their offers, so I'll keep it for a while. Yeah, so the only thing I really upgraded in here is, the stock wheel. I kept it, but it's like driving a bus. It's huge. So I replaced it with a 14-inch steering wheel, and then I just changed the shifter, aftermarket radio, because it is my daily driver. But other than that, it's pretty much stock. The stuff that was really worn, some of the interior pieces I sourced NOS parts and then replaced it. So that's why, a lot of these dashes are cracked after 23 years. So luckily, knock on wood, mine's still intact. Yeah, but I mean, it is comfortable to drive. It really is. The seats are comfortable. I just had the AC fixed. Like I said, this is not my race car, so I'm just really happy tooling around in it. I did change also, got some aftermarket pedals for it.
So this thing, is it a stick?
No, it's an automatic.
Okay.
It's the same transmission out of a C4 Corvette 700 R4. A lot of time, after 23 years, some guys will burn through their transfer cases as well, and that's usually comes from the fact that a lot of guys will add mismatched sized wheels and tires, and it burns out the transfer case. And then a lot of trannies will also have to be rebuilt after a while. But it's not stuff that you wouldn't necessarily see in other muscle cars, because that's reality is this, for all intents and purposes, is a muscle car. And give you a little bit of history about the Typhoons, and then it's the brother, the Cyclone pickup truck. 1991 when the Cyclone came out, it was, it got all the rave, urban legends, because there was this pickup truck that supposedly beat a Ferrari in the quarter mile, and it actually did. Car and Driver did that article, but when I first saw that vehicle, I said, great. It's like, wow, this badass little pickup truck. But the reality is, it wasn't sensible to have a truck at that point in my life. So I said, you know what? I'll get the SUV version. And luckily, in '92, they came out with the first year Typhoon. There was a prototype made in '91. And then 93s came out, and as far as people ask, well, what are the differences? It's mostly cosmetic. The engine and drivetrain is all the same between 92 and 93. Interior pieces and some other details, the more knowledgeable Cyclone and Typhoon guys will know all the differences, but it was mostly cosmetic. Yeah, but I wanted definitely the SUV just because it was more practical. But after all said and done, I wound up getting the Cyclone anyway, so I built that one. But what are as far as people thinking, what exactly is the Typhoon? It's like, what's a shame about the Typhoon is that you have this very limited production truck, but the reality is they're all really affordable. Unless you get a really mint pristine low mile one, you can have these for 12, get a really good example for $14,000. Something that hasn't been dorked around with. The paint's still good, the cladding is intact. And values have just pretty much been steady. They haven't really dipped and they haven't really risen. You'll occasionally see these at Barrett Jackson and Mecum come for auction, but a lot of times those are the mint, low mileage trucks, and they'll fetch mid-20s. I think there was a Cyclone that just was on the stage at Barrett Jackson, sold for low 30s, but that thing probably had like 2,500 miles. So, and this is a driver. This is not something where I'm afraid to drive it and put miles on it. I'm going to put miles on it and repair and replace what I need to. But anyone that's ever interested in Typhoon, the reality is, it's at the end of the day, it's still a truck. It drives like a truck. After 23 years, it's going to have its squeaks and noises. And it, for the most part, I think even when this thing came out of the factory, it was a quirky vehicle. A lot of times people call it a Frankenstein vehicle. They're putting a hodgepodge mix of parts together. But, for me, that was the novelty of it. That was, the beauty of the truck. And, this truck, like I said, I worked on the suspension. I beefed it up that way. It actually handles pretty good for a little SUV. And mileage-wise, if you're lucky, you'll get 15 to 16 on the highway. A little less locally, but I really don't. When I say it's my daily drive, I really don't drive too far. Although I drive this truck back and forth down to San Diego all the time, so and without any issues. So. This is a 93. This is considered white when the second color is to denote the color of the cladding, which is the body effects. The most popular color in 93 was black. I think that was over 1,000 of them. These were, I think, probably around 500 made in 93. That was white. There's actually guys that collect these trucks so much that they have they try to collect all the colors like jelly beans. So it's kind of cool. But I have a thing for the white trucks. I always wanted the white one. When I first saw this truck, I saw a white one and knew that's the color I wanted. So it took some time to find one. A lot of times, the way I actually found this vehicle is I was shopping for one in general, and I ran into a guy that had a black one for sale. And once he found out that I wasn't really interested in the black one, he's like, well, you know what? He goes, well, I know where there's a mint white one. He goes, but I don't think the owner wants to sell it. So I actually befriended the owner, and we were friends for a year until he decided to sell it to me. But when I bought this thing, it probably had a little under 40,000 miles, and right now it's at 48,000 miles. So I put about 8,000 miles on it. And I really have no plans to do anything crazy with it. The way it is now is the way I intend to keep it. The only other project that I have going is just to upgrade the drums in the back, the drum brakes. A lot of people are like, well, why don't you do a disc conversion? Well, the reality is a lot of Typhoon guys will keep the drums in the back because a lot of them will race these trucks on the strip, drag strip, and to do the clamping force on a drum is a lot better than on a caliper, and that's the reason why a lot of guys will keep the drums in the back. But when we do a video on the Cyclone, you'll see that that's a vehicle because there's a ton of performance mods on it. I'm doing a disc conversion on that one as well.
All right, you guys, that's Joe telling a little bit about the car and giving you some history about it. And we're going to get a couple other shots. And if you guys got any questions, feel free to email freshoutseries@gmail.com, and we'll be sure to try to answer your questions.